All right, I thought it was the trick for all students take calculus. We'll talk about what that means, and then I'll show you the trick for inverse that I have. So remember, if we say all students take calculus, this is talking what is positive. And you guys just know this because you know positive, positive, you know negative, positive, you know negative, negative, and positive, negative. So this might help you, it may not. All sine, cosine, everything's positive here. Over at students, this is just saying that sine. Now remember, sine is the same as the cosecant or the flip, so sine and cosecant are positive. Hey, that makes sense because sine is the y. Tan and cotan are positive here because remember it's y over x for tan or x over y for cotan. And then so all students take calculus. This is just cosine and sec. Notice the cosine and sec are in consideration with the x. So therefore where that is calculus, that is saying cosine is positive. So those stand for all students take calculus, positive all of them, sine, tangent, cosine. Now the little trick for inverse that I like to say is that if we look at, let's make sine and tan pink, notice that their range is from here to here. So I like to look at a little belly, little lady standing with a little pregnant belly. And then we'll make cosine, oops, didn't mean to have that, I wanted my pen. Cosine would be this right here, and I always say this guy watching TV on the couch. So that's how I remember the range. So that's my little trick just for knowing the range of these for the inverse. Because remember, the range is very important to tell whether or not these inverses are functions. So moving on with some other things, let's talk about the arc cosine. So now they're saying, hey, where on the unit circle is the cosine equal to pi over 3? Well, remember, the range is different. I just showed you a little tip to that. So where is that? Root 3 over 2? That is at pi over 6. And the best way to start this, again, is looking at that unit circle, the colored unit circle that I gave you, and take a look. Hey, where is the x root 3 over 2? But again, you have to be in that range. All right, where is the x negative a half? Well, if I look, I'm going to have 2 pi over 3. Talking about tan. Now remember, tan is sine over cosine. So where is the sine over cosine equal to 1? Those are always going to be at pi over 4. Again, we have to think about the range of the tan. And where is the inverse of the tan root 3 over 3? Well, I have to think of the original. The original is 1 over root 3 because we will never have root 3 over 3. When I rationalize, that's what I get. So what is this answer? Good, it's at pi over 6. And the last thing we're going to do is a little calculator work. Again, you have to know we're talking radians. We have to be in the mode of radians. If you are not in radians, you will get all of these wrong. These are easy questions. Please make sure you get them right. So on the TI-84, in order to find the arctan of 4.84, we are going to take the second button, that's the blue button, and then we're going to hit the tan button. So what's going to pull up on my calculator is exactly what we want to see. It's going to show us the tan of negative 1, and it opens up a parenthesis, so I'm going to put in the numbers 4.84, and when I hit equals, I'm going to get 1.36, and it says approximate the value. Let's go ahead and do 4 decimals, 1.3671. Now, if you are in degrees, you're going to get the wrong answer. You're going to get 78.32. Don't be in degrees. You have to be in radians. Same thing for cosine. The arc cosine, you're going to hit second cosine. And when you put in negative 0.349, you are going to get 1.9273. What about the inverse of negative 1.1? When you put it in, what do you get? Well, I know this is going to be no solution because I know this is not in the right range or domain or range. So do you get error? Do you get that quit, that funky thing? So remember, there are no solutions because you have to be in the right domain and the right range. Now, notice that there are composition of functions. So these are functions inside of functions. And we're going to start with sine. So the sine of arcsine of x is equal to x. Again, I know my domain, I know my range. The arcsine of sine of y is y. So this is kind of saying the inverse of, or the sine of the inverse of sine is equal to x. All right, let's look at the cosine. Domain is the same, range is different from 0 to pi, but the cosine of the arc of cosine of x is equal to x. And the arc cosine of the cosine of y is equal to y. Really confusing, but we'll take a look at it. And the last one that we are going to go over, if x is a real number, and we know that the range is from negative pi over 2 to pi over 2, the tan of arctan of x is equal to x, and the arctan of tan y is equal to y. So, what in the world are they asking me, Miss Maloney? They're just asking us that. And I think we could put these in on our calculators and actually see, but this is just saying, hey, all of this is going to cancel out, and my answer is negative 14, because this is asking us for the tan of the inverse of tan. And yes, I just put that in my calculator as tan, and it popped up a parenthesis, and then I did the inverse of tan, and it popped up another parenthesis, and I did use the negative button, but I did have to close all of the parentheses, and the answer is negative 14. Now, what about this one? The sine of the arcsine of pi. Well, I know that the range is from negative pi over 2 to pi over 2, so my calculator is probably going to say error. So this will be no solution because it's not in the proper interval. What about the cosine of arc cosine of 0.54? That answer will be 0.54. All right, great job. You guys are doing awesome.